Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a list of my top 5 favorite fixed blade knives. Now, first off, I want to point out that my channel is primarily about folding knives. My main thing is folding knives. I'm really into them. I do like fixed blades, but for a different reason. A fixed blade to me is not something that I, like with a folding knife, I kind of, fidget with it and get into the little fine details. Fixed blades, I absolutely like to take out and use and beat on. A fixed blade is, obviously there are correct tools for certain jobs, right? But I've found that in some situations, when we add on to our house, we do little projects, right? Just having a fixed blade in a pinch is awesome because I feel like I can just do, almost anything with it. They're obviously much more durable than folding knives. Yes, even the coveted triad lock. People are going to yell that out in my comment section, right? I like them. I like how, just the extra level of durability. My preference in fixed blades comes in small to medium-sized fixed blades. I don't have much of a use for a really big, long fixed blade, right? I don't need that much blade. I'm not doing a lot of camping or hiking or bushcraft or anything like that. I like all-purpose, very straightforward, utilitarian, and ergonomic fixed blades for various random tasks, right? So that's what's going on here. These are also just my favorite. I haven't reviewed a whole lot. I haven't experienced a whole lot. And after the initial list of 5, I've got 5 more that I would like to experience, and I'll share those with you after we get through this list. A lot of these knives are available, so I will link them down below if they are available so you guys can check them out. Thank you so much to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, there's of course a link down in the description. And please follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Starting off here at number 5, I guess. These are in order. This is the ESEE 5. This thing is an absolute tank. Very ergonomic, extremely durable, 1/4 inch thick on the spine, massive flat here. It's just this massive saber ground blade is just insane. I think this knife was designed for downed helicopter pilots, as an object that you would use to literally break out of the cockpit of a downed helicopter. That is insane. Obviously, I'm not doing that on a day-to-day basis, right? So I don't need that excess. It's a little bit thick and massively, this thing comes in at a pound, right? It's just a little bit too much for me, honestly. So I love it. I love the straightforward design. Honestly, 1095 steel is awesome. I don't have to worry about corrosion as much out here in Kansas. The coating is very durable, right? 1095 is easy to sharpen up. It's something that I don't look for like high-end ultra, edge retention in my fixed blades. I want something that is incredibly tough, that I can use to chop or pry or do things that I wouldn't normally do with it, that you're not supposed to do with a knife, right? My rules for what I'll use a fixed blade for are substantially outside. I contradict everything that I, say about, folding knives and what you should and shouldn't do. A fixed blade, yeah, I'm pretty much going to use it for whatever I feel like. And you know what? If I break it, then whatever. I'll get another one. But yeah, the ESEE 5 is pretty much indestructible. It's just a little bit too heavy and too thick. That's why it's not up higher on the list. I need a little bit better, slicing performance, a little bit less drag, I guess. But absolutely one of my favorites of the knives that I have handled. You can pick this up down in the description. Moving on here, the Offgrid Alpha Dog. Everything that I love about the ESEE 5, except it's a little bit shorter. It is a little bit more wieldy, right? It still weighs a lot, but I don't know. I like the balance on this thing better, and the edge geometry is a little bit better. It's only about 1/5 of an inch on the spine. It does have a convex edge at the end, which is great. It comes in K110, which is really fancy D2. Very tough, better edge retention, kind of a mess to sharpen up, but this thing is ultra tough and also probably indestructible. It's got much more of like a snub nose, a lot of material at the tip, which means it's very unlikely that you're going to actually damage or snap this thing. This is made by Offgrid Knives and is absolutely available right now. You can pick it up down in the description. By the way, I think the ESEE 5 comes in at what? 130, 140, something like that. This guy comes in at like 80 or 90 bucks. Comes in a black wash blade that you're seeing here, and then also a tumbled blade. Absolutely love this thing. The handle or the scales are G10. By the way, the scales on the SE5 are micarta. These are G10 and so comfortable. God, this knife just melts into your hand. And because of that excess weight there out at the tip and how just, it's like a short chopper. It's honestly like if somebody turned a short hatchet into a fixed blade. Man, I love this thing. Again, a little bit bigger, a little bit thicker than what I prefer for just outdoor generic work or versatility, right? But really good. Moving on here, absolutely one that I love. This is the SE3. This comes in, you're seeing it here in S35EN, which I think is a pretty darn good choice for a fixed blade, especially if you live in an area where corrosion is more of a concern. But it also comes in there, I believe they're 1095. Either one I'd be happy with. This is shorter, and the scales generally are, I think, flat micarta, which is fine. These have some contoured and textured G10 scales, which is actually what I'd prefer. This is almost a perfect fixed blade for me. The only issue I have with it is the forward choil is just a little bit too small. Honestly, if they had cut that forward choil just maybe a fifth of an inch more, it would have been absolutely ideal. I just found that I wanted to choke up on it, but I was running my index finger too close to that edge. Considering what I'm going to use this knife for, what I'm going to do with it, I don't want to have to think about that. I want to be able to just put my hands where I want and use it and be rough with it. I'm likely going to be wearing gloves. I don't want to have to worry, like, is that area, you know, where I would normally be the sharpening tool, is that cutting into my glove? Is it going to cut my finger? I don't want to have to worry about that. If you have smaller hands, I wear an XL glove. You have smaller hands than me, maybe this is going to be perfect for you, but not a thick blade stock. I want to say it's 145 thousandths on the spine, maybe even thinner, fully flat ground blade. Very performance oriented, very recommendable. I want to say these come in also maybe 130, something like that, maybe a little bit more for the S35EN one. Wonderful, wonderful fixed blade. Moving on here, my second favorite of all time, the Ontario Rat 3. Bigger and more robust. It's about the same it's about the same length and profile as the SE5, but it's thinner. The handle scales are massively thick, which is actually not an issue for me outside. I want something that fills the hand, gives me confidence. The blade is thinner. I think the blade on this guy is only about 145 thousandths or so. The forward choil on this guy is perfect. I actually prefer this over the SE3, despite it being a bigger knife, right? A little heavy, actually quite a bit heavier. It's kind of in between the SE5 and the SE3 for me. It's fully flat ground, so you don't have to worry about the massive thickness of the flat, right? This thing is awesome. This is also 1095. It's not hardened the same way. It doesn't have the same heat treat as the ESEE. The ESEE heat treat is better than the Ontario Knife Company heat treat. I want to say ESEE aims for like 59 on their 1095. These guys are about 57. They're both incredibly tough, and it's fine. It's 1095. I'm gonna beat the crap out of it anyway. I need to sharpen it at the end of the day. But if I can get a little bit more edge retention out of it, I would prefer the heat treat on the ESEE 5. But this is still excellent. It's also one of the least expensive. I think it might be actually the least expensive knife on the list at maybe 70-ish. Is it 7? I can't remember. It's going to be linked down below. Excellent. Very, very recommended. This is like one of those knives that I was on my list of like knives that I can recommend to anybody because it's such a straightforward tool. Micarta on the handle scale is incredibly durable. This is a throw it around, beat on it, do whatever you want with it kind of knife. You know what? And I think there's a decent warranty on it. But you know, if you do manage to break it, number one, what were you doing? And number two, it's 70, 80 bucks is a decent amount of money, but geez, you know, I would imagine this knife would last somebody a very long time before they ruin the structural integrity of it, right? Really, really great knife. And moving on to my number one current favorite fixed blade of all time, unfortunately one that is not available. Sorry for the weird picture. They included the entire lanyard in this thing. Makes it look a lot smaller than it actually is. This is the Reeves Niala. This knife doesn't need a forward choil because of how they've done the blade in the area where your index finger, basically where you choke up behind the blade. This is one of the most excellent fixed blades that I have ever handled. The scales are micarta, they are contoured, they are also shadow boxed by the tang of the blade. It has a little bit of texturing in there, which I find to be just perfect. Holding on to this thing is an absolute dream. It has Chris Reeves, legendary fit and finish. These are S35EN, beautiful tumbling, right? This is expensive. When it was available, it's not available anymore, but when you could get it, it was $250, something like that. Absolutely the perfect handle length, the perfect blade length. I love the blade profile. I think the blade stock comes in at like 145 to 165 thousandths. Excellent behind the edge. I have no problem with S35 VN, working with it. I love that steel. I know that there are other steels in certain tests. It's going to be, the toughness of 1095 and other steels, other non-stainless steels, right? Other high carbon steels are going to be better. But man, I just love this thing. The one that I handled was in brown micarta. I do have a review. Actually, I have a review of all these knives on my channel except for the SE5 because when I handled it was before. It was longer than 2.5 years ago when I started the channel. But absolutely, 100% love this knife. Wish it was still around because I would buy this. Absolutely, I would buy it right now, but I can't. So that's it for my top 5 favorite. Now, because I haven't handled a whole lot of fixed blades and I don't like leaving lists at just 5 knives, I want to actually share with you guys 5 additional knives that I'm very interested in handling for the first time. Some of these are available and some are not. Starting off here, the brand new model from Hinderer Knives. This is the Hinderer EMT. I was hoping that mine would be in today, but it won't be. It will be in tomorrow. I ordered this knife the moment that I found out about it because I took one look at it and I was like, yep, I absolutely want that. That is a Hinderer XM18 handle profile with a long clip point Bowie blade, and it comes in at like 8.75 inches overall. Oh God, yes. Mine doesn't look exactly like this. Mine is in the OD green micarta. They have a vintage version of this in 01 steel. The other ones come in either micarta or G10. You have a choice of, right now, Coyote, which is what you're seeing here, OD green micarta, black G10, and maybe OD green G10, and then the non-vintage ones, like the one you're seeing here, actually comes in 20 CV. I think 20 CV will be fine. There are definitely steels on a fixed blade that I prefer over 20 CV, but Hinderer does a great heat treat. He does great geometries. I'm a huge Hinderer fan. I've never had an issue with a Hinderer knife. I don't think I'm gonna have an issue with this. I am very excited to get this, and this one's actually coming, so I can't wait to experience it. Moving on here, the Falkniven F1. This is what I love. I mean, a fixed blade, I think, needs to have a lot of generic simplicity in it. Just a straightforward functional handle that's ergonomic, keeps your finger away from the blade, and a nice performance-oriented flat ground blade. I love how this thing looks. I love the texturing on the handle, right? I think it's not rubber. What do they call that stuff? I can't remember. This is just VG10. But again, my rules for steel on a knife that I'm going to do pretty much anything with, they change completely. I want a lot of toughness, ease of sharpening, right? VG10 is stainless. It's pretty tough. It's very easy to sharpen. These are expensive. I think you can get them right now. If you can, I'll put it down in the description. I just really like how this looks, and it looks like a straightforward, awesome working tool. Very cool. Really want to experience this one. Moving on, absolutely, 100%. Guardian, the Bradford Guardian 4 specifically, and also there's a couple of different steels I'd try this in. The standard ones come in N690. In Kansas, I'd rather have 3V, which is what you're looking at here. By the way, I do have an affiliate program set up with DLT Trading, so yeah, I can use their images, and you will absolutely find this down in the description. You can pick this up if you want to. There's a smaller one, which, okay. This one is it seems to be the perfect size. Look at that forward choil. That is the type of choil I want to see on a fixed blade. All the handle room and just I mean, everybody has always said like how awesome these are and that I'll just love it. I love how this looks. I love the idea of, I feel like I can already feel it just being a great knife. I think these start at like 160 and they go up to like 260 or something like that. They come in, other than N690, they come in 3V and CPM Crew Wear, which are both steels that I would be happy with on a fixed blade. So definitely one that I want to experience. Moving on here, the ESEE Zula II. I had an ESEE Zula, and I liked it, but it was too short. I don't like any knife, fixed blade, folding knife. I generally don't like knives that I can only get a 3-finger purchase on, and that was the case with the Zula. The Zula II, it's got a little bit longer handle, and about the same blade shape and profile, length, all that stuff. but a longer handle. I do have there is a good place, you know, in my day-to-day life for a small fixed blade, and I think this would really do the trick. I might actually end up just buying this one. Actually, just looking at this picture, I'm like, I should just go ahead and buy it. I don't think these are expensive at all. I think they're available right now. I'll link them down below so you guys can see, take a look if you want to. But yeah, I love the little micarta handle, the big, I don't know if I'll make use of the hole in the back, but I don't really care that it's there. Blade profile looks great. I don't think it's very thick on the spine. Jimping's in the right place. Nice choke up position for your index finger. Great blade profile. And the slicing performance of the Zula that I had was great. Just want a little longer handle, and the 2 seems to solve that problem. So I'd really like to experience this one. And then last but not least, for the same reason that I love the ESEE 5, the Becker KBAR BK2. This thing is a freaking monster. I think, are these even thicker than the ESEE 5? Obviously, I'm contradicting my statements about not liking the ESEE 5 as much as some of the other knives on the list because it was so big and thick and heavy. This guy might even be thicker. But I just love the idea of something being so hilariously overbuilt that there's just almost nothing you could do to break it. I've had a good experience with KBAR, or KBAR, however you want to say that, right? I think their heat treat's decent. They use coating that looks to be similar to what ESEE uses. I wish the handle scales weren't, you know, fancy injection mold plastic. I wish they were like G10 or micarta. Honestly, black micarta would be awesome on this guy. But I love the handle shape. I love that it looks like something that you could absolutely chop with and baton with, right? I love that it doesn't have a glass breaker on the back. It's just flat, so you could, like, you know, use a hammer and pound it into something. This just looks amazing. I also love that it's US made, as is the case with a lot of the fixed blades on this list. This is definitely one that I'd like to experience, and it's been around forever. I'm almost dead certain that you can still buy this knife, and I want to say it comes in at 90 to 100, maybe less. I don't know. You guys can check it out. I'll put it in the description if I can find a link, but yeah, guys, I think that's going to be pretty much it for my list there. I just wanted to share with you guys my favorites, being somebody who has limited experience in terms of handling a lot of different, not using, I've used a lot of fixed blades extensively. I've used this fixed blades that I've handled extensively, but I have not experienced a lot of different fixed blades, right? And I feel very differently about them, you know, versus folding knives. So anyways, I hope that this was at least mildly entertaining to you. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.